Hey everybody, it is Mike Schumann of the Daily Hoosier here for another episode of the East 17th Street podcast, and I am joined once again by a special guest. He is North Florida transfer forward Josh Harris. Josh, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Appreciate you joining us. I guess I wanted to start with you with the decision to transfer. Tell me what that was like for you. After 1 year, a great season at North Florida. What was the process that went into that to make the call to transfer after one season?
Well, definitely I had to talk to my family and everyone around me, but it was mainly because I really wanted to go higher and keep growing my game, and I felt like to do that I had to transfer up because that's just how life works. You always got to keep going up and up and up. So
Right.
that was mainly what made my decision.
Yeah, and I noticed the reports on your transfer came out early March, and I'm sure a lot of this stuff goes on behind the scenes, but the Indiana visit appeared to be one of the first ones, and it was like late April. So kind of what were those weeks in between like what was that whole time like for you as you tried to figure out what schools you were interested in and where to take your visits?
Well, it was busy, but I was kind of trying to sort between schools and figure out the schools I really wanted to take serious and the schools that I think I'd be a good fit at. So it was mainly those weeks was just kind of hearing people out, and then eventually I had to start cutting the list down and start taking the schools that are taking me serious and the ones that I want to take serious, and just talk to those schools mainly.
Right. And I saw that Indiana, they made their coaching change probably after even you went into the portal.
Hmm.
I'm curious, like, did you know anybody on the new staff? Did you know Coach DeVries or any of his assistants at any point?
No, I did not.
So what made them a school that you were even interested in?
Because when they had originally reached out to me, then I was they came in at me very hard, and they were very genuine and straight up people. They were shooting straight up, and that's what kind of stood out to me. Like they knew what they wanted.
Yeah, and I've talked to a few of the new players on the team, and that word keeps coming up, genuine. Can you
Yeah,
give me an example of like how they came across as genuine to you in your conversations?
because right off the bat, the first phone call, they're already telling me what they expect, what they're looking for, what they need, and they're not gonna sugarcoat anything. They're just telling me straight up what the real. Like they didn't want to kind of sugarcoat anything or put anything that would be false. Like they were very honest people, genuine people, and that's why I really liked them and chose them.
And how did they paint that picture to you? Like, when they said, Josh, this is what we're looking for you, as a sophomore at Indiana in the Big Ten, like what was their message? What did they want to get from you? What was the opportunity?
This one a hardworking, strong forward who can rebound the ball, score the ball. That's gonna work hard every day.
And talk a little bit about the visit to Indiana. I guess to start off with, was that the first time you had ever been to Indiana? And not just the school, but like the state?
No, I've been to Indianapolis when I was younger for AAU tournaments. I think twice actually. In
Okay.
about 10th grade or 11th grade. But that was the first time I've been to the school. So the visit was great. Like I really loved Assembly Hall, and it was just you could tell it's so historical. The the inside the court, when you were on the ground, looking up into the stands, it was great.
And what was in your conversations with Coach DeVries? Can you think of a moment of something he said to you that kind of stood out to you, or kind of your overall impressions of him?
Really, my overall impressions of him was that he was really trying to get to know me, like throughout the whole process. He was calling me, texting me on the visit, always next to me, trying to have a conversation with me. So he was really trying to get to know me, and that I greatly appreciated because not a lot of coaches would do that and go out of their way to try to really get to know someone. So that really stood out to me.
Right, right. What kind of questions did you ask when you were on the visit? Like, what were the main things that you wanted to understand about Indiana or the staff or the opportunity?
Really, just how they run their system, how they run their practice, what their weight training looks like, just stuff all about that, their daily routines, really.
Right. And you're coming from a program at North Florida that you know, is very offense oriented. I love the hashtag on social media, birds of Trey. I think that's awesome. I think they led the nation in 3-point attempts, at least as a percentage of field goal attempts. Was that something that was important to you to kind of go into an offense that followed that same model? And how did you get comfortable that Indiana was going to be a fit for you offensively?
uh, I wouldn't say like it was something like I was only looking for that because like I mean overall like I love playing basketball overall, not just shooting threes. Like it's not just about
Right.
that, but I would say it definitely like plays a big fact because like a big factor because it's important that they play kind of similar because I already played like that, so it's kind of like you're more used to it than jumping into something completely new.
Sure.
So that's just mainly like a big factor. Yeah.
Did you end up taking any other visits during the process?
No, I did not.
And I
I had
were
some
the,
visits set up, but I did not end up taking them.
were, were the reports right that one of them on the potential docket there was Miami?
Yeah, I was supposed to go to Miami on Wednesday.
So you passed on the opportunity to stay home.
Yes.
So that must mean the Indiana visit went pretty well.
I told you it went really well. It was a
Okay.
great visit.
Okay. All right. Um, so you look at this Indiana roster that they put together.
Mhm.
Just you were as things stand at the moment, you're the last addition to the roster. So you've kind of got a chance to see it all come together before you made your decision. Kind of give me your impressions of what you see of this team.
Well, I think that the staff put together a great squad, because there's a bunch of different pieces that are really good at doing what they do. So if you put together that, then as a whole, they made a great team. Great guards, great forwards, great bigs, great point guards. So everything together, like I just feel like, and also they're all winners. Like the whole team is winners. So if we have a bunch of winners on one team, then the team's gonna win. And like everyone on the team is serious about winning, focused, only wants to work hard. So that's definitely a big part. Like they picked really great character guys as well, like off
Did
the
they,
court, not just basketball related.
did they talk about that part of it? The character guys, because we interviewed Coach DeVries when he first got hired, and
Mhm.
he talked about he didn't want to just assemble talent; he wanted to assemble a team. That come across in any way in the conversations?
For sure, he had told me on the first phone call, like he's looking at character as well, and that's why like I also stood out to him as well. But like that to me was very important because with me, I'm very big on character. And so the fact that he was getting picking guys that have great character as well, that means like we're going to be a great team. So that's very exciting.
How nice is it for you to come into this situation already knowing at least one player on this team and Sai Miles?
It helped a lot because we were talking and like it's just gonna work. It's gonna work out great because you're going into a new situation, but you're not alone. Like you're with a teammate that I played with in high school and in college already. Because I played with him for 2 years, ninth and 10th grade year in high school. So that's very beneficial.
Was that on AAU that you played with him, or was that
No, at
high
high school.
school? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Give me your scouting report on Josiah, and be careful because I'm talking to him later today. This is Monday, May 19th, so I'm going to ask him the same question about you. But give me your scouting report. Like, what are his strengths and weaknesses, and what do you think he'll bring to Indiana?
I would say he could really shoot the ball. He could handle the ball. He's a great rebounder for a guard. So, I mean, I think he's going to bring a lot of energy, a lot of rebounds, a lot of dog fighting, and a lot of threes, man. A lot of threes.
Yeah, his 3-point attempt rate was off the charts last year. I mean, part of
Yeah.
that's probably system related, but um, what do you think what do you think he's going to say about you when I ask him that question? Like, what's he going to say the Josh Harris scouting report is?
Box him out and don't let him get the ball in the paint.
Yeah, you seem like I've watched a lot of your highlights, and you just seem like you have a very natural ability to finish. You got a real nice soft touch around the rim. Were you surprised at how well that translated as a freshman?
To be honest, not really,
You can't.
because I feel like if you could make the games, you could simplify the game for yourself at every level. If you don't overthink it and just step by step, keep working hard, and like you picture the game like it's just like high school. Like you're playing the same guys, you're just moving up, moving up, moving up. So you got to still kind of like work on your game, of course, and
Right.
like change some things, get a little bit stronger so you can move people and do the same move. But I'm not really surprised at it because like I saw it translate in the summer when I had got to college originally. You just had to like tweak a couple things. You always got to tweak a couple things, and it'll always work out.
Do you have any good inside jokes for Josiah? Like something I can say to him that 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 will make him laugh when I talk to him?
Let me think. Let me think. Uh,
Has he got any nicknames or anything like that?
I'm trying to think about that one right now. Uh, oh, tell him to buy smoothies for the guys. Just say that.
But buy
Buy
smoothies
smoothies
for
for the
the.
guys.
All right, I will do that. You're not gonna get me in trouble, right?
Nah, I won't. Don't worry, I got you.
Okay, okay. Well, I wanted to ask you about another of your teammates from this past season,
Hmm.
Liam Murphy. How aware are you three, you, Josiah, and Liam? How aware are you guys of kind of what you're stepping into with the rivalry between Indiana and Purdue?
I mean, we're definitely aware. We were talking about it before he had went home and I had went home, and Josiah as well. We were messing around about it in the apartments, and I mean, it's definitely going to be a good game, definitely a big game, and we'll see him soon.
Yeah,
He knows
you'll
what's up.
you'll actually be playing them twice every year. That's a protected rivalry, so they play home and away every year.
Mhm.
Indiana it'll be 17,000 plus. At Purdue it'll be 14,000 plus. Most people will say those are two of the five best college basketball environments in the country. So I think you guys are going to have a lot of fun in those games.
For sure. Liam knows what's up, man. Liam knows.
Has the coaching staff at Indiana already asked you for a scouting report on him, or do you think that's coming down the road?
That's coming down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. What are his greatest strengths? I see a really good shooter.
That do not let him shoot the ball.
Yeah. Take away his space and make him drive.
Yeah, do not let him shoot the ball.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Um, I want to go back a little bit into your basketball journey. When did you first start playing?
I started playing when I was around like eighth grade, but I didn't really start playing seriously until I'd say like middle of ninth grade for real. Because I started my first AAU year was going into 10th grade. So yeah, I would say like yeah, middle of ninth grade. But it was like a weird journey because at first I started playing like just rec ball with my friends, like playing around. Because I played a bunch of different sports: football, soccer, baseball. So I was just playing around, and then I was like, oh, I really like basketball. Like that's my favorite one. So I just stuck with that one.
So you were, I guess, what we would call a late bloomer in terms of basketball.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What you said football? What position did you play at football?
Receiver.
Okay. So you would have been a giant receiver if you had stuck with that one.
For sure.
um, who were some of the influences as you grew up that kind of helped you, find your path to get where you are today?
I would definitely say my dad because my dad, like, even though he was never like he never really was into basketball like that because his favorite sport was football as well. Like same with all his brothers, like some of my uncles. Like it was just a football family, but I would say he would always play with me at the park, shoot around with me just for fun, play 1-on-1. Like always like try to work me out the best he could. So I'd definitely say my dad.
Yeah, and people think of South Florida as being a football hotbed, and of course it is. A lot of good talent has found its way to Indiana. I don't. Do you know any of the South Florida football players on the IU football team?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. Well, how would you describe the South Florida basketball scene? Is there like any characteristics or attributes that stand out when you talk about guys that come from South Florida?
I definitely feel like South Florida basketball is up there for sure. I
Yeah.
feel like they got to be top three. And the characteristics, I would say everyone plays hard down here, like very hard. Like even at the park, people are diving on the ground. So I would say, yeah, it's just like a lot of toughness for sure.
And so your senior year of high school, you lead your team to the state title,
Hmm.
and I believe you were 6A player of the year. Is that right?
Yeah, I was 6A player of the year.
Yeah, so coaches, including Coach DeVries, I've heard him say this. They talk about they want to recruit winners, and maybe that kind of stuff is more important than star ratings or things like that.
Mhm.
Do you agree with that? Like, do you think there's a winning mindset that translates to different levels of basketball?
100%. I feel like if you have a winning mindset, like you want a team full of winners. Because if you have a team full of winners, you're gonna win. So definitely.
And why was North Florida the right choice for you coming out of high school?
Because when I went on the visit there out of high school, like they were just very again like family oriented. They had a plan. They wanted me a lot. Like they showed a lot of interest for a year and a half. They were recruiting me for a long time, so I knew those were the right guys for me at the time.
What were some of the other schools that you considered?
I was talking to the College of Charleston and a couple Ivy League schools like Cornell, Princeton.
Gotcha. So you had some impressive academic opportunities as well there.
Yeah.
You guys got off to a great start. I think Indiana fans noticed uh, win at the very beginning of the season at South Carolina because Indiana was getting ready to play South Carolina right
Mm.
after you. Um, you know, Talk a little bit about this team season. It looks like a really strong start. I think maybe even some talk in the national rankings there early on, and then it kind of fell off towards the end. Kind of, what's your impression of how that all went down?
Uh, I just feel like the start was very strong. We just weren't able to keep it going, keep it rolling. So it didn't end how we wanted it, but overall, like it was a great year, a great experience for me and for the guys.
And I talked a little bit about 3-point shooting at North Florida. And I went back and watched some of your high school film as well. It looks like you've been a pretty good 3-point shooter going back to your high school days. Kind of take us through your kind of evolution as a shooter, where you are. Like, do you think, you obviously put up pretty good numbers this past year. Do you think you can, improve that on higher volume? Kind of just where are you as a perimeter player?
I'm definitely gonna keep on improving my shot. Like there's always room for improvement, and I always want to get it as best as I can. Uh, but right now, I would say like I'm working on, like you said, was more volume shots.
Yeah.
Keep on improving the volume year by year.
And speaking of volume, you had a couple of volume scoring games as a freshman. 31-point game against Queens. What was going right that night? And did you surprise yourself to be able to post that kind of game as a freshman?
I would say what was going right was probably just like I was getting to the right spots, and my guards were finding me. So I was just at the right spots, and like I was finishing well. And I wouldn't say I was completely surprised. I was proud of myself, yes, but I wouldn't say completely surprised because I know I could do it. But yeah, definitely was like proud of myself.
And the game in your freshman season that really stood out to me is you scored 22 at Georgia Tech. Because I
Mm.
always look for things, like, are these guys, are they going to translate to high major? And that's a clear indicator. If you can go on the road against an ACC team very early in your freshman season and score 22 points, that's a clear indicator that it's going to translate. How much confidence did that game give you?
Oh, it definitely gave me a lot of confidence because it shows that like you can play with anyone. It doesn't really matter. You can generally play with anyone. So that really like got my confidence up.
And another thing that stands out on your profile is your offensive rebounding percentage. I think it was
Mhm.
72nd nationally among all college basketball players. I got to believe that's very high up amongst all freshmen. Uh, to me, and you can give me your perspective. To me, offensive rebounding is a mentality more than anything. How would you describe, your success as an offensive rebounder?
It's definitely a mentality because you have to have in your head like I want the ball more than the person next to me. If you have that, then every ball is going to be a 50-50 ball. So let's say you go for 10 balls, you're going to get 5 of them. So I would say it's just mainly like it's not. I wouldn't say it's. There's a little bit of strategy to it for sure. Like you got to position yourself really well, which is like something you got to learn, which I was taught in high school. But there's definitely like a mindset you have to have as well that goes with that.
When you say positioning, are you talking about like the angle that the shot's going to come off based on where it's attempted, or what kind of stuff?
Yeah, you have to know kind of where around the basket you have to be, depending on where the person's shooting from and stuff like that.
So that's more of a indicator of that high academic mind that that Indiana's going to get with Josh Harris. Um, so I wanted to ask you. You're part of a North Florida team that has obviously had a lot of very good players. Everybody kind of all the top guys transferred out. What's your impression of the state of college basketball with that? With the good mid-major programs losing their best players every year. Do you think that's good for the sport? Do you obviously from a player's perspective, everybody understands you do what makes sense for you and what's in your best interest. But give me your impression of what's going on with college basketball right now.
I think it's really there's pros and cons to everything, but I mean, like there's pros to it because like kids get to keep following their dreams, going to higher schools, bigger
Right.
levels, keep developing, and there's cons because then like the mid-major schools are losing their best players year after year. But I feel like that's not just like college basketball, it's college football, everything. So it's mainly like that's a new world, and I think people just kind of have to adapt to it.
Right. How familiar are you at all, if at all, with the Indiana football story of the last year with their new head coach and their run to the college football playoff?
I don't know too much about it.
Okay. I was just curious because I feel like it has the potential to parallel the basketball team a little bit because
Hmm.
I'll give you the story. It was they hired a new head coach last year, and he went out and brought in a bunch of guys from lower levels of college football, and they went from a 3-9 team to an 11-1 team and made the college football playoff. And
Oh wow.
everybody's question coming into that season was, will these mid-major guys translate to the top level of college football? And the answer was a resounding yes. And so I guess my question for you is, as a guy kind of in that position on the basketball side, like, and we've probably talked about confidence a little bit, but what gives you confidence that this group of guys, a lot of them are mid-major guys like yourself, can come in and have a strong impact from day one?
I just feel like every guy on the team works hard, and every guy on the team's a winner and a competitor. If you have those three things, I think that we're going to be great.
And then last one for me, Josh. Really appreciate the time here. You have made it to high major. I'm sure you've gotten a good NIL deal and all the stuff that comes with that. But you know, how do you make sure you don't get comfortable? Like, how do you make sure that you don't say, "Okay, I've made it. This is where I always wanted to be." I'm sure you've got greater aspirations than just playing at Indiana. So, how do you fight against that natural human instinct to get comfortable now that you've kind
That's
of
easy.
reached a milestone?
I would say that's pretty easy. I never really been comfortable. Like, no matter what, even after 60th player of the year, like, right back to work. Every day, right back to work. Like, after this, I'm about to go work out. So it's like, there's not really, like, getting comfortable. I don't feel like you can ever be comfortable in life in general, not just in basketball. Like, you can always get better at something. And you could always keep, like, climbing up the ladder. So, I mean, yeah, I'll never get comfortable.
Well, I have no doubt that that's an answer that Indiana fans will love to hear, and I think it's a great spot to wrap up this conversation. He is Josh Harris, newest Indiana forward on the 25-26 team. Josh, I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Have a great one.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.